Less than 2 weeks to go until 7.0, so we'll recap the story so far and talk about some final prep that we and others might be doing. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech today is EPC 413. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going really good. I'm starting to, well, I said this last week, but I'm sort of looking forward to 7.0. But to reel it back in for a second and talk about this past week for me in SWTOR. We did a thing this week in MFN, which BC basically created, and we've done a couple of times now, called Poke the Bear. And that's where we go and do some of the world bosses that we don't normally do that might be a little bit harder. And, or at least just less common, or they have a mechanic that we in the past have been challenged by or whatever. But we actually killed all the world bosses that we tried very handily until at the end, we went back to Section X because we knew there earlier in the evening we had seen Dreadtooth there with a 5-stack.
Oh, yeah.
And we had offered to help the group that was trying to kill him, but between us, we had too many people.
Sure.
But we went back there in the evening and we poked that bear, and it was glorious because, yeah, we did not last long. We had I think 12 people.
Did you get a 5 smack from that 5-stack?
we got a 5 smack, yeah. And then we along the way too, we did some of the bosses multiple times, and people got to finish up their parts of that part of the vehicle mission.
Right.
But we did not do Nightmare Pilgrim because we weren't set up for it. But yeah, those people, I don't know. I mean, we could talk about that and prep for 7.0, but that quest has been reset before.
Yes. Yeah. And that is on the list just to talk about.
When they reset that before, they were pretty specific about it. But anyway, so yeah, that was MFN. Tonight in our ops group, we went back to veteran mode TFB, and we continued our campaign against poor, innocent Operator 9. And we made a lot of progress.
We sure did.
We made it all the way to the last phase.
And that's even with switching people out again this week and pulling people in. So,
and I don't think the last phase is going to be a problem. I think we just need to.
Yeah, he was down to 30%. So, we just missed a beat and lost a couple people. And then once you do
if we were one of those groups that went for 3 hours instead of 2 hours, we probably would have gotten them tonight. But that's just not us, man.
No way. We make a plan and see it through.
I've been doing sort of random things also during the week, like I want to do sort of house cleaning things, like log in every character, make sure nobody's got outstanding Conquest rewards. I actually, make sure I know where everything is that I think I might want to get to and stuff like that. But we can, I should, anyway. So yeah, I've been doing stuff like that. Even though we still have 2 weeks.
Right. That's part of the problem. Yeah. So I'm
speaking of being super, super early for things, I did my taxes last weekend.
That's crazy. That is super early. That's good.
And I've got my refund already.
Wow. Well, they're trying to do that. Well, okay. That'll be the our finance podcast.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is early Seema. I don't know this Seema.
Amazing. That is.
So anyway, how about you, Max? How's your week been?
It has been great. I've been doing lots of fun things too. I've been doing some interesting work stuff. Maybe I'll talk about it at some point. Not just yet. We'll see. I don't know. I caught up on Boba Fett, which we will not talk about tonight, but boy, do I want to. I sure do. Yep. The last 2 episodes, it's plenty to talk about, and plenty to debate and rant about, and in good ways and in mostly all good. But there's some split things you could lay down and talk about. I like Boba Fett. I like the series. I know some people are criticizing the way Boba Fett's been characterized. I like it. I like it all. I like the first 3 episodes. I would even want more of what a lot of people want less of. I'm good with it all, but then it certainly took a twist in 5 and 6. I'm was okay with that too, but I want more Boba Fett too. So we'll talk about it at some point, but not yet because we're certainly not going to spoil anything. It may be in the post show if there's people that really want to talk about it, and we can confirm that we're not going to spoil it for anybody. Maybe we'll talk about it there, but probably not because the episode 6 just came out last night, so we can't talk about that at all. That's off limits. Anyway, I too have been doing a little bit more cleanup in game. Ops night was also fun. I did miss MFN because I had some work stuff going on, and I'm chomping at the bit, and I don't like that it's 2 weeks away. When it's a week away, then you're in the final countdown, and you can be closer to optimizing whatever you want to do with tech frags and all those kinds of things. Can't do that just yet because we've got one more reset.
Right.
But
you know what you can do?
What can you do?
You can be working on real life stuff that you need to clear up.
That's right.
So that,
as we said, like buying those extra NVIDIA cards and having them on hot standby. Right. Making sure you quit your job or at least take the week off. But
I'm referring to things that, like, sometimes if you have something hanging over you, then it's not fun when you play.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, yeah, actually, like cook some food, wash some laundry.
I was thinking more in terms of like projects that you have to get done.
I just got in the mail today a plane, and I'm going to, because one of my doors needs to be cut down just a little bit so it closes. And I've been in this house for 3 years and been meaning to do it, and the plane just finally came in today. So yeah, I'll do that. There you go, Seema. A little house project.
Yay!
Maybe I'll film myself doing it, and I can do an instructional video on how to make doors that don't close all the way work.
You can post it on Quora.
Yes, Quora. But what else I can do is talk about the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
In the news this week, we have a few things that came up in the dev tracker. One of them that I wanted to start with, which I found amusing in a ranty, worthy kind of way. All right, so Jackie, somebody posted something kind of nice in the dev tracker. They're like, hey, just wanted to say, dev team, you're doing a good job. And so Jackie, which she doesn't often do and actually hardly ever does, responded to that post and said, "Oh, hey, thanks. That was nice of you." And then she got a lot of shit for it. And this post like this, which then she responded to as well, was like, you can cheering on this nice little, blowing smoke up your butt, but you really should be paying attention to the actual feedback. And boy, this line really grinds my gears. If you do everything we say, I'll be the first in line to say, quote, "I didn't believe you guys had it in you." Wow. Oh,
I know, right?
So my dad owned a remodeling company. It was, it was him and his guys. He had like five guys working for him, 4 guys. It's not big. And one time, and I remember this distinctly. One time he did this basement remodel for some high end client, and as like a doctor or someone. It was beautiful. It had like this backlit slide embedded in Lexan in the floor of the landing. So as you walk down, it looked like it was the fish tank under the floor. I mean, it was beautiful. And it took extra long because it was extra detailed job. And who knows, maybe my dad was also late. I wasn't that much into the details, although I did work for him for part of that time. Anyway, the client at the end said, wow, Joe, I didn't think you had it in you. And I just remember my dad, and not to the client or in front of the client, but he talked about that for a long time. Yeah. He's like, that is not a compliment. So don't say that. Don't say that. So this Tetsemi is one of our officers in AIE. He gave me this drop-in to play when I get a little bit of a rant like this going in the future, which I really appreciate. So, Jasa, what do you got for us?
You add fire to my rage, Master.
There you go. I would like to rage. So
With fire.
So that I get it though. The poster has a point. Yes, the feedback is important, and that's what we want them to interact with. But they interact with that a ton. So don't bash them when Jackie finally gets one person saying something nice to her, and she's like, "Oh, thanks," in one line, and then you jump down her throat. Just don't do that. They're trying hard, and she does a great job. Jackie, you do a great job. We appreciate you.
We do.
So there you go. What else we got in the news, Seema?
Yeah, what else do we have? I will tell you right now. Oh, so another thing that's not super popular. The skip for the story skip for this is going to be to Osis. So we were just talking about that in the pre-show.
Right.
And there is some feedback on the forums that people feel that that's too far back. It's that they want to skip closer. Like they have been looking forward to 7.0 and they would like to start right out with 7.0. So
yeah,
there is that. I know I personally don't want to necessarily play through Andron and Meksha again to start 7.0. We're talking about, not on your main characters who we're thinking
who should be caught up on the story.
Yeah, right. But my legions of other players the characters I have that normally take a skip, I would like it to be all the way up as well. But who wouldn't?
Right. When we started replaying it in our minds, at first I didn't think it was that far back. Then we started replaying it in our minds and realized that that's cool. And this is a logical place from a narrative perspective for it to start.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go through the history of Malgus, but this is the return of Malgus. But then Onderon and Meksha happen, and that's not a trivial amount of content. So that does seem kind of far back. I'm sure though that now that you mention it, that all of the feedback on the forums was pleasant and well thought out and nice to
yes,
Jackie.
Absolutely.
Totally. Jackie, how could you do this to us? All right.
Not her fault.
Yeah, actually, Jackie didn't do it, to be clear. Also in the news, again, responding to actual feedback, and this is actually feedback from Zamzam posted in the official forums, and Jackie responding to this constructive criticism in the forums and these next two items.
God bless Zamzam also.
Yeah, asking the right questions, and those questions getting some answers. It was some clarification on the gears. So to Bryant and Jackie, they're looking, and we also talked about Zamzam's gearing guide, which he refers to here. Tertiary stat distribution is going to be the same for PvP gear. They said no, it's going to be lined up to change with the stat distribution changes that were listed. So that should be fixed. This point about requisition caches and how they're PvE versus PvP, and where you're getting this stuff, it seems to be skewed towards PvE, and she represents a bunch of PvPers that do this kind of thing. They did say, no, that's kind of the way it's going to be, but remember the amount of the currency that you need to get the PvP gear is quite a bit less than what PvEers need to do the upgrades on their gear. So that's kind of the balance there. And then I think that on this next one, Zamzam was talking about, hey, set bonus implants, they were finicky and we're in trying to upgrade them. That's clarified in the next post, so we'll get to that. I think what Zamzam was talking about there is the same thing that we'll get to it on the next news item. And then finally, what else did she say? This Theresian production accelerants, Warzone crates. Are they going to have a chance of dropping Theresian? And yes, they will. So wins will reward slightly more, but that sounds like losses will still reward those currencies as well. And then finally, they said we'll continue to keep an eye on feedback in general.
We also got more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't mean to step on you there.
Nope.
We also got more clarifications about Galactic Seasons, how it's going to work in Galactic Seasons 2 from David Stotts. And based on feedback from the PTS, mostly some balanced stuff, like a few more points for some of the solo activities, fewer objectives for the weeklies, and a bit more medals rewarded. I'm looking forward to Galactic Seasons 2, which is weird. I don't know why. But I gotta put my blinders on when I'm leveling, because Galactic Seasons 2 is gonna start when 7.0 starts. So it's sort of like
right away.
that'll be this like a little distraction in my mind,
Yeah,
because
it's gonna be a
it's
little static in the background because
yeah,
it's
because
still gonna be every
it's
day or like weekly is the bigger part,
yeah.
but
So I
weeklies and
mean,
dailies, and while we've got a whole bunch of other things to pay attention to. So yeah,
right,
I agree.
right. So I don't want to get behind in Galactic Seasons, but I also don't want to not ready to pay attention to it yet until I get through the story. So
Right. But again, if we get behind, we know that you can, and it's perfectly fine, and things will work out.
yes, absolutely.
I skipped over this, so I'll mention it. This is the other clarification point on the 7.0 gearing, and it was Elsha, who's another content creator, who did clarify the specific points of the problems of the legendary implant, and a couple people noticed this. Even Zamzam noted it in her guide. Is it wouldn't account for the implant that you had equipped when you needed to upgrade it, and it wouldn't accept that you had one if you only had one in your inventory. So if you wanted to upgrade an implant, you had to have one equipped and in your inventory is the only way that you could get it upgraded. They said, no, that's broken. We're going to make sure that's fixed. So that's good. Also in the news, nothing too big, but the in-game events calendar is available, and those will be continuing on a regular schedule as well throughout February. There's one that's starting next Tuesday and will finish up at the launch. And then a week after the launch, starting on the 22nd, will be Pirate Encourage. So Gree are coming back on the 8th to the 15th, and then Pirates are coming back on the 22nd to March 1st. And then they just have the event calendar, just that 10-year anniversary. Remember, all of that stuff is going on. And when 7.0 drops, that 10-year anniversary vendor is going to get some new stuff on it. So keep an eye out for that. That's what they were waiting for, the 7.0 patch to finish off putting on there, which was maybe these commemorative statues. I don't know exactly what was missing off there. It could be this ... and more that we're waiting for. So we'll see. What else did we get, Seema? Something else cool.
Yeah, we got a new cosplay kit, or at least the next one is now available, and it's of Satil Shan.
It
is of the current Satil Shan.
The mature master Satil Shan, not the young girl Satil Shan from the trailers.
Right. Not the young Satil that fell in love with Jace Malcolm.
Jace Malcolm, may Bob rest his soul.
Yep.
May he be one with the Force, or whatever they say in Star Wars. That's a cool little thing.
I mean, again, on the forums, there was people taking pot shots at, like, why are you working on stuff like this when you should be working on 7.0? It's not the same people. In fact, this particular project has probably been not even in, hasn't even been touching game devs and art designers and everything for a while. It's probably just going through quality assurance and approvals, and it might even be done earlier, and now they're being released on a certain schedule. It's not taking anything away from you, forum posters that complain.
Sigh.
You add fire to my rage, Master.
Yeah, so that's that. It is cool, though. This Satil Shan lightsaber, which is detailed here, who could have used this a couple years ago, is Zen, when he custom made this lightsaber and had it built with multiple craftspeople that he worked with to get the various pieces done. But yeah, would have helped to have some reference images to go along with it. But I think Zen did a perfect job In fact, probably even they should have just taken Zen's replica and used that as the model for this. So Seema, you gonna do it up? You gonna do a Satil Shan cosplay for us? And,
Probably not. I do like that outfit though.
Yes, and by yes I mean no.
I like it.
Guild and community news. Mega was fun on Saturday. We did a bunch of world bosses on Saturday that the week then continued on Tuesday a little bit, but it was a whirlwind tour of world bosses and cool stuff on Saturday, including
Did you guys do because I couldn't come to Mega, did you guys do Nightmare Pilgrim?
No, we didn't do Nightmare Pilgrim, but we did do Dreadtooth on one stack, or no stacks, or however the case may be. We did not do Nightmare Pilgrim, but one of the teams said that they had it queued up and they were going to be doing it this week. One of the ops teams.
Oh,
I think
okay.
Albus's ops team.
That must be what I overheard. Yeah.
So they were getting ready to do it because you need to do it 3 times to complete one of those Aerotech Coral quests, which might be resetting, and we'll mention that again when we get to the prep. But yeah, Mega was fun. Is this next note on the sub ops team? Do they still need that? Is that still we need to advertise them needing a DPS?
That is an excellent question. So if you're looking for an ops team, check it out because SUP might still need a DPS. I don't know.
A full-time DPS for Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Central, guys. That's how that works. And then in Conquest, I did want to give another shout out to the Crimson Guard Guild on Starforge. They were the guild they have sub-guilds on the Republic and the Imperial side. Their Imperial Guild is the guild that beat us out in Conquest to Win a Planet, Total Galactic War 2 weeks ago. We talked about it a lot last week. And as we talked about it on the show, these guys, multiple people from the guild, seemed like a really great team. They were posting on the YouTube video and just again offering to team up or offering to like sub in if you need extra people, and let's bring the server, continue to bring the server together. Really, really cool. So many great people have given shout outs to us out of Crimson Guard. I just wanted to call them out again. So awesome. Great guild there on Starforge. And so is AIE. And if you do want any information on AIE, you can find us at aie-guild.org, of course. I guess I couldn't let it go without saying that too. But lots of great guilds on Starforge, of course. But yeah, thank you, Crimson Guard. You guys are great. Shout out to the chat room. Bunch of people in the chat room. I see Lore's in the chat room. We're talking to Zen, who we were just talking about is Zen's lightsaber from Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. Exactly. I will catch up with them after the show. We nearly started spoiling Boba Fett. We will not talk about episode 6 of Boba Fett this week, but maybe next week or maybe in a couple weeks. Maybe we'll do a whole post-series wrap-up jam session where we talk about Book of Boba Fett because it's worth it. It is good. It is quality Star Wars content, which I think a lot of people have been really hungry for in some interesting ways. And it's a Dave Filoni special. In terms of the lore that he's pulling in and the canon that he's elevating, that's the Dave Filoni stuff. That's really nice fan service. Jon Favreau, just as an action director and producer, putting the series together makes it super high quality entertainment in general, and that's a big bonus as well. And there are other directors. So too much to talk about. But, Bryce Howard did a great job on another episode. All right, enough of that. Let's get into our segment because there's plenty of stuff coming in less than 2 weeks now. We're at about a week and a half.
Power will be yours if you are willing to burn.
If you are willing to burn. We did clarify last week, as if you missed that. Seema thought it meant you needed to set yourself on fire.
Yeah, totally.
And we said,
but I was willing to,
I think you need to be willing to like burn down the existing power structures and been and
Burn down the man.
not burn down yourself. I'm burned very badly, Malgus. Do I get the power now? What have you done? I set myself on fire. It hurts very badly. Idiot, get out of my sight. No, that's not the way that works. One thing we did want to do, speaking of Malgus, though, is we're thinking about 7.0, is a quick update, and this follows something that Charles kind of did a few weeks back that we mentioned, the story so far, but the story so far even continued a little bit beyond where Charles's video left off, and that's to just catch us up on. In fact, I will show it here a little bit while we're chatting to catch us up on the story so far, because this story, I don't know, I like that. You watch the beginning of every episode of Book of Boba Fett, and it says story recap, and there's the skip button. So feel free to press this skip button if you've just played all of this story. But remember, the story goes back all the way to a couple of years before the launch of the game is when Malgus' story started with these trailers, with these deceived trailers. And that's what we're seeing here is we're seeing footage from them. It was the 4 trailers that came out in the 18 months prior to the launch of the game that was sort of like the hype and, went all over the place and showed up on the internet. Super good. They still hold up. They're blur quality, not game engine, but, still rendered 3D, excellently acted, excellently scripted 4 trailers that tell the story of the sacking of Coruscant, and then
Which is basically
sacking of Coruscant was the end. Yeah.
Basically the setting for Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Right. So it was the tail end of the war between the Imperial Empire and Republic, which had been in progress for quite a while. The sacking of the Coruscant was the turning point, which then created the opportunity for the Empire basically to force the Republic into signing the Treaty of Coruscant and brought peace to the galaxy. A very uneasy peace that ended up getting broken a whole bunch of time. That's the start of your class story, basically. But here in this deceived trailer, sacking of Coruscant, as you can see here, Malgus already has the mask. That happened in the other trailers leading up to this, and the stuff that was going on Alderaan, when he fights Jace Malcolm and Satele Shan, and his face gets mashed up as part of that. That's all Malgus being used to force the Treaty of Coruscant, which made Malgus really, really mad.
Yeah.
And sort of set Malgus up for what Malgus does throughout your class stories. And you remember, Seema, of course, how the story of Malgus evolves and especially comes to a close at the end of Chapter 3 of our class stories. Do you want to tell that part of the story? Do you want me to keep doing story time with Max?
Are you talking about
Ilum, the stuff on Ilum, yeah, with the...
Oh. No, story time with Max.
Okay, so I'm just talking about so Malgus behind the scenes is angry at what happened. He did not want peace. He felt that with the sacking of Coruscant, why didn't they just continue to push forward? They were winning the war. Why did this happen? And why were we allowing this politics and infighting inside of the Sith Empire to continue to undermine their continued success? He felt that everything could have been unified under the Sith Empire, the entire galaxy, and stop this useless, wasted internal battles and politics and all of this junk that did not happen. And he got thrown under the bus to say, fine, what you did on sacking of Coruscant was fine, but now we're just going to give Coruscant right back to the Republic, and you're pushed to the side, and the Sith Council is going to go off and do their things. And he was mad. He was so mad that he ends up creating split off faction within the Empire that then comes to the surface in Battle of Ilum and False Emperor, the 2 flashpoints where you fight Malgus at the end of your class story at the end of chapter 3. So after you're basically done with your class story, as soon as you're done with chapter 3, you're told to go to Ilum because stuff is happening. New shit has come to light. That's a quote from the dude. Anyway,
I don't know who you mean.
Everybody in the chat room knows what I mean. The dude, new stuff has come to light, man.
You're talking about like the Big Lebowski?
Yes, Big Lebowski. See, Seema knows.
See, even Seema knows.
So we have to go to Ilum. And then we end up fighting Malgus on Ilum, though. We fight the Battle of Ilum, and we fight False Emperor, and we defeat Malgus. As if you're playing, especially if you're playing Darkside, or if you're playing as a Sith Empire loyalist, Malgus had some really good ideas. His idea that we needed to stop discrimination, we need to embrace the abilities of what we have available to us and bring everyone into the fold, stop the infighting, stop the politics. This idea where Sith keep like killing, oh, you're going to go kill your master. Oh, good job. What did you just do? You just wasted resources in doing that. That, in my mind, was a good point. He had a point. He had many, many good points. We end up defeating Malgus, and in the old days, it doesn't work this anymore, but in the old days, it was a perfect Star Wars moment. You used to kill Malgus. Do you remember how we used to kill Malgus?
Yeah, we'd blow him off.
Blow him up and knock him down. Imperial architecture, walkways without railings with very long drops underneath them. You used the little grenade to knock Malgus off into the classic falling off into the boundless depths, and he was defeated. We all thought he was dead. He was sort of set up that he was dead, and we all thought he was dead. So he was then out of the picture for a while, and a bunch of stuff happens in between, which is the expansions. We all remember that stuff. We remember Makeb, then Makeb happened next. Then we finished up on Makeb and the Rise of the Hutt Cartel, and we saved Makeb, which is still out there, floating around, not destroyed, because we did a good job. Then the Revan stuff happens. We get the cultists and Shadow of Revan, and that whole thing happens. And through that, the Revan's Shade is trying to resurrect the Emperor, who the spirit of the Emperor was still like floating around. And we find out through what happens at the end of Shadow of Revan and the post story of Shadow of Revan, which is what happens on Ziost, that the Emperor does get basically woken up and his spirit is unleashed because it was sort of corralled by some of Revan's influence. But it was also split, and all of the stuff he was doing as Valkorion now gets unleashed upon the galaxy. So Valkorion, well, yeah, Zen is saying some of the downsides of Malgus. He still wasn't a good guy.
To be clear, he's not a good guy.
To be clear, he's a bad guy. But he had a couple good ideas. If we could have just like taken his ideas and just set him off to the side or held him accountable, but
also he wasn't saying let's embrace aliens because that's the right thing to do. He was saying because then we'll be more powerful.
Right. And we can
he was like stop the infighting because then we'll be more powerful
and destroy them and kill everyone, and that stands in our way. He did kill her, yeah. So Valkorion, Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne, all that kind of stuff happened, which was plenty. Then that all wraps up, and then there's Iokath, Iocath happens, then Osis. So Iocath gets done, and then we hear about Osis, and we have to go there. There's stuff going down on Osis, and that leads to where we said at the beginning in the news that if you do a skip, this is where you end up. You end up on Osis. This is where you meet Major Henri and Melora, who's back. If you're on the Imperial side, this is where you meet Arn and Major
Tau Eder.
Jedi Tau Eder, as their story begins here. And you think that you're here just because there's stuff going on. The Empire's digging up relics and out of the old Jedi ruins, and a little bit of a clash there. While we're there, some sort of escape pod kind of device crashes into the planet. Everybody goes to check out what is this thing. They crack it open, and out pops Malgus.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? It's Malgus. Malgus in a box. It's Malgus in a box. It's my Malgus in a box. Sometimes a wise man knows when a gift needs given. Step 1, you cut a hole in a box. Step 2, you put Malgus in that box. All right. Anyway, Malgus was in the box. He pops out. And it's the return of Malgus. We are all really excited. This is interesting. He's an interesting character to come back. Yes, it's someone it's certainly someone we can all battle against, because he's both a strong character, but he's also a dark character. He's someone we can fight against. He can carry a story, very iconic. I was excited to have him back as a character, and thought he and a couple of the other characters from Launch were a little bit wasted and sort of like just dying off in flashpoints. The other what's the Imperial commander that was one of my favorites out of Essless and Black Talon that ends up getting killed later on?
Kilran.
Yeah, Grand Moff Kilran, or Moff Kilran.
Yeah, he was an awesome character.
Yeah, who sort of got tossed by the wayside. I mean, it made those stories that happen in those flashpoints really good and compelling, but it did sort of get thrown under the bus there on the side and not really elevated to as much as he could have been. Anyway, so Malgus pops out of the box. He is back. That's where this video from Charles sort of ends, when Malgus pops out of the box. But then a couple other things happen. So now remember, when Malgus popped out of that box, he was under the control of the Emperor, the Sith Emperor or Empress, depending on how your story may have gone. So it's either Asina or it's the other guy. We don't know if Darth Melora was killed. Here's the scene. Here's Darth Melora. Was Darth Melora killed? She was thrown down a deep crevasse. And maybe she was killed. Maybe she wasn't. You never know in Star Wars when that happens. In fact, I think that how the track record goes, if you're killed by falling down a deep hole in the infrastructure, you are definitely alive. No, she wasn't killed there. She was killed somewhere else.
Even a deep hole in a creature.
I thought that was her ending. She may have been killed later, or you may be met up with her somewhere and you could see her in a cutscene. There may be it may have been an option to kill her in some of the stories. This is you get that weird situations where if it's an option to kill her in one of the stories, then she's effectively dead for all of the stories. But more things happened then. So Malgus is on the leash. He is under control of the Emperor. In my version of events, it's Darth Asina. She's the Empress. She's got Malgus basically wired up. We find out as the story evolves that he's got some sort of ritualistically implanted failsafe device that's keeping him on a short leash. We then continue to battle against as Republic and as Empire, I believe. No, just on the Republic side. On the Empire side, you fight against Tau-Adair, but Malgus is there fighting with you at that point. Isn't that what happens? Malgus is with you? I think so. On the Imperial side. And then in either side, it's slightly different if you play from Republic or Imperial. When you're playing Objective Meridian Flashpoint, at the end of that Flashpoint, either Malgus or Tau-Adair basically bring the whole place crashing down. Malgus crawls out of the ruins, and because of the damage of what happens in that scene, it ends up damaging the device that's implanted in him to the point where he can get it removed. So he is now off the leash at that point.
And the medical droid goes, "Oh, this shouldn't be here."
Yeah, that's a great cutscene. Look that cutscene up. Yeah, exactly. There's a doctor and a medical droid, and the doctor's like, but the of course the failsafe device is still intact, right? And the medical droid's like, oh no, it was damaged, so I just disconnected it and removed it. And the doctor goes, oh crap, what did you do? And all of a sudden Malgus gets up off the table and he's like, I need a ship and I need that droid and I'm out of here. To go make things burn, apparently. So that then, with Malgus being off the leash, that then leads to one more, I almost skipped over it. One more thing happens, and we come across what Malgus now is the prelude to 7.0. Malgus is now off the leash on some mission of his own. Basically, he's created some sort of fetch quest for himself. He's now collecting up relics. He grabs something out of Osis. That was step 1. Step 2, he goes to the Jedi Enclave on Dantooine and sees Dark Descent, Secrets of the Enclave, and we chase him down. Aaron Lanier helps us track where he's going. We get there too late. He's already done what he needs to do and sets a trap for us. He also gets something else, some additional relic out of the Enclave, and we don't exactly know what that is. But now we've got a sense that Malgus is on a fetch quest, and we don't know what happens if he collects all of the things on his quest list. So there are cutscenes. So if you're finishing up your story to get all the way to the end, there are continuing story beats that came out after that, including what the last story beat is that we've got, and I forgot what it's called. So chat room, if you can remember what it's called, but
the very last one is called Whispers in the Force, I think.
Whispers in the Force. And in that one, you're back on your base in Odessen. Your team comes up to you and says, new information has come to light. And this is where you hear that Malgus is off again going somewhere, and it turns out he's heading towards Elam. And that is where the story will begin in 2 weeks. Okay, so that was quite a bit, but that's the story. So that's where we're at. So
it's a lot, but there's also so much more to Malgus. So it's I think worth it to get to have it set in your mind where you're starting off in the story with 7.0.
And if you really want a little bit more of that, the flavor of the Malgus backstory and the story of Aaron Lanier, read the novel Deceived, which is a prelude to the launch of SWTOR as well, and tells the story from the point of the Deceived trailer, the sacking of the temple. That is the start. That's like the opening chapter of the Deceived novel.
And in the game, they allude to the fact that Aaron Lanier is no longer a part of the Jedi Order, and you get that there's an uncomfortable thing between her and Satil Shan, but we don't really hear the story.
But
and
you do
I'm assuming
in the
that's
novel.
in that book.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you want to know more about Aaron Lanier, it's in that novel.
Yes. Let's talk about our prep for 7.0. So in addition to catching up on the story, that was step 1. What else do we need to do? Seema, tell me what to do.
Well, there's a lot of things to do that you could do. But I just want to say, first of all, if all you do is get current on the story so that you can start ground zero on Tuesday the 15th with the story, I think that's enough, right?
Right.
But there's other things you could do.
You could. And that's a really good point. So what we're going to talk about tonight is the things you could do to prepare, but you don't need to. In fact, you don't need to do anything. You could just
Right.
wake up on the 15th and start a new character from scratch and play through everything and enjoy it all the way through 7.0
That's true.
if you want. You could be new to the game and never have played it before. But here's what you could, some of the things you could do if you wanted to, if you got a team who's like going to be waiting for you to gear up, or you want to hit the ground running. That's mostly where this is coming from. If any of it sounds confusing, and this came up in Discord, it's like, wow, I don't even know what you guys are talking about with some of this stuff. If that's the case, don't worry about it.
Right.
Do not worry about it.
None of these things are of the class that if you don't do this, you're going to miss out.
Right.
They're all just us thinking ahead, right?
Yes, exactly.
So let's start by talking about tech fragments again.
Yeah, because we do need to clarify a little bit, and we did in guild chat a couple times and at MFN. But yeah, lay it out for us, Nima.
So tech fragments are not going away. They're still going to be a thing, and you'll still get tech fragments by doing various activities. There's only 3 things I think that you can buy with tech fragments. It just so happens that tech fragments are going to help you get your implants.
Yes.
And implants are important in this X pack because that's where your set bonus has been migrated to. So there's not going to be a set bonus on your armor. It is all going to be on your implants. So here's the thing. You can spend 10,000 tech fragments right now and buy a crafting mat that you can sell on the GTN for millions and millions of credits. And that's a perfectly valid thing to do, especially if you need credits.
Yes.
Or you can save 11,000 tech fragments going into 7.0, and immediately you'll have those 11,000 to spend on things that you can buy in 7.0.
Right. So if you have hundreds of millions of credits, then you probably want to save them.
Yeah. And when I say 7.0, I really mean when you get to level 80
Correct.
in 7.0.
This stuff doesn't, most of this stuff doesn't start. The end game, the using of trying to get the implants, you can't even get those implants before level 80. You can't get the new gear before level 80. You won't be completing any of the conquest to get the medals of commendation until level 80. So some of this is just thinking ahead to, well, what's the fastest way for me to get to level 80, still having fun and experiencing the game, because this is where some of these things come into play. You will, if you have 11,000 tech frags though on the 14th, you will waste tech frags going into by the time you get to 80, because you probably will have done a couple things that you could have gotten some tech frags from.
I mean, so if you do nothing special with your tech frags, you may end up with the same number of tech fragments as somebody who does special things. So,
right.
Again, not that big of a deal.
We will still get tech frags. In fact, you will still get slightly more from the main sources of tech frags. One source of tech frags that you'll not get anymore is where you do this thing and you say, I'm going to disintegrate this gear, and it gives you tech frags. Deconstruction will not give you tech frags anymore. But instead, the other places where you do get tech frags, like from the Conquest Weekly, you get slightly more. So they're trying to balance it out a little bit. One other place that this was brought up that we're hoping you might be able to get some tech frags if you want to game the system a little bit. It's not guaranteed. I think Zamzam talked about it, is these boxes. Small Conquest equipment crate, large Conquest equipment crate, World Boss equipment crates. Any of the crates except the Renown caches. We'll talk about those in a second. Those are going away. But these equipment crates on the PTS, at least, when you opened these on the PTS, anything that was in them turned into tech frags, and you did get tech frags out of that stuff. It's not guaranteed. We could get to 7.0 and they could have changed it and they could have either like nothing in them or could just output some gear that is not useful anymore. But some people are saving all of these boxes right now to open after you get to level 80 and after you've spent some tech frags, so you need some more, because you are going to want enough tech frags to be buying a couple of those implants. And those implants cost 6,500 tech frags. But besides that, as soon as you get a couple of your implants or your set implants for whatever your main characters are that you're going to play, tech frags become kind of useless after that. You can still use them on Kai Zyken to get some of the tacticals off of Kai Zyken that he used to sell and will still continue to sell. And the random crate off of Kai Zyken, which is how you will get, if you want the current 6.x armor like Apex Predator and all that kind of thing. That will come out of Kai Zyken's random crate.
So Zen is asking a question in the chat about if he completes something that would normally award tech fragments like the GSF weekly, but he completes it, but he doesn't accept the rewards, so it's still up in the corner pending rewards. Will that hang? Will I still be there if I log in post 7.0?
I don't think he's saying from the 14th to the 15th, because I think he's saying if on the 16th he's level 79 but completes the GSF weekly.
Yeah.
So there's two points there. Weeklies are, and this is actually next up in our notes here. There we go. We're tying right into it. Weeklies are going to start resetting after I reset, and I expect that the night of the 14th. Oh, so the night of the 14th, I expect all weekly missions to reset. Zen. Because that's how it's going to work going forward. The weekly reset is going to reset all weekly missions. Weekly missions will never carry over from week to week anymore. And all of the weekly missions are changing, so they're not even the same. So I would expect, so you're saying if you have it open and pending in the upper right, will it still be there? I bet it won't. I don't know. I don't know how that code works. It could. I guess you could risk it. You could try it. Because if it's pending and it's just sitting up there not accepted, I don't know. It's a risk. You trying it is a risk I'm willing to take.
Right. I was just thinking, I'm not risking that one.
Yeah, I'm afraid it could just reset, just because it's a thing that could reset.
You might as well. Go for it. Let us know how.
But but what are you gonna lose?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't need any fleet conquest requisition. You don't need any fleet requisition or ship requisition. You've got all your ships mastered, I'm sure. So
one of the things I mentioned,
which you waste anyway, I'm sure, because you don't need them
earlier, was that I've been logging in characters to look for conquests, because I'm not as sure how this weekly reset is going to affect. You know how sometimes it'll go months before you log in a character and you go, oh yeah, I forgot I did conquest on her 3 months ago. I don't know for sure whether that's going to survive from 6.0 to 7.0.
Right. I would, especially with the way they're changing all of those missions and changing everything up, I wouldn't risk it. Weekly missions that are in progress are certainly going to reset, and those will be gone. If you were planning on, if you were thinking, well, I've got 8 of 10 done on the PvP weekly, and on the 15th or 16th when I log in, I'll finish my last 1 or 2 and, get a little bit of boost in XP by doing that. That will not work. From now on, starting on the 15th, also, weekly missions are just going to be resetting every week, and the weekly missions change. They're easier to complete, and you can complete most of them 3 times in a week. So that's separate. And then the one other mission type, which we have seen reset in the past, is the Aerotech mount type missions, or like the weekly world boss mission, that kind of stuff. But the Aerotech ones in particular.
I have the I have various progress on various characters on the macro binoculars and the Seeker
Secret
Droid
Droid.
missions too.
So those may reset. In some expansions in the past, they have. If you're close to getting them done, grab some people and finish them up. You might need to do a couple Master Mode flashpoints. You might need to kill the Nightmare Pilgrim, depending on which ones you're doing, but it's worth it to finish them up, I would say, just in case. And then it gives you something to do for the next 2 weeks. Conquest. This is a good one to clarify for people. What about Conquest the week before? And this isn't this week. This is next week.
No. So right now, the target, your personal target for Conquest is 50,000 points. In 7.0, it will be 100,000 points. Because of that, and because of just because of that, the week before the 15th, you will have had to have gotten 100,000 Conquest points to count as having made your target on Tuesday morning.
Right. As soon as you make 50 the week before, you'll get your personal target, but you won't get the guild conquest target if your guild makes their planetary target on Tuesday morning unless you've hit 100. And that's the way it worked last time. And that's and when point totals were changing, and they did say that that's the way it's going to work. You had a couple more of these. Oh, tell me about renowned crates in particular. So we already talked about story, but the renowned crates.
Renowned crates, just open them all now and do whatever you. I would say turn them into tech fragments, or that's what I would say, or vendor the gear, or turn it into tech frags. Just open. They're not going to be worth anything. On the PTS, when I tried, I couldn't even open them, so that they won't be. Just do it now. And even if they are converted to credits somehow, it'll just be a trickle of credits. So do it.
Right. This window, the renowned stash, where you see the renowned crates and you open them up, that doesn't even exist in 7.0, and that's the main part of the issue. And renown doesn't exist. Any of your renown ranks or your renown achievements become feats of strength, and are worth 0 points. Congratulations, but they show up as feats of strength. So there you go.
If you have any characters that, I mean, I know I said earlier, if you don't want to rush through, you don't have to rush through. But if you do want to multiply the amount of XP you're getting and you want to use XP boost for that, first of all, go and locate your XP boost. Like, there's two types. There's this type that are bound to legacy, and there's the type that's bound to a character. And I have all my ones that are bound to legacy are in my legacy cargo. All the ones that are bound to characters are in the exact same spot in my cargo hold on all of them. So I just don't I don't think I have one if it's not in that one spot.
Right.
If you have a character, for instance, that hasn't completed the first 2 planets in the class story because you leveled some other way, just take an hour and go back and do those 2 planets, and you'll get 2 or 3 or 5 XP boosts for that character.
Right.
If you've never done the first space mission on rails, you'll get one from that.
Right. Those are good ones. What else can we do about XP, Seema?
So this I forget to do, but in Legacy, you can buy XP boost for class story and for exploration, and that might be worth it. You consider looking at those.
In fact,
then the last thing,
have them on this character. I never needed them, but I will.
For the longest time, I didn't purchase the one that allows you to use a speeder at level 1 either, and I've done that in the last few characters. And I'm like, I'm never not doing this again.
Right. Let's definitely do that on the characters we're creating for Conquest.
We had a conversation in pre-show about whether or not the XP gear that you may have gotten with the DVL event, if that's going to work past level 75. I was assuming it would. Max was like, he thought I hadn't actually thought about it till Max said maybe not. So that's another note I had, was just locate your XP gear. Again, I put mine in the exact same spot every time I put it away in my cargo legacy hold so that I have half a chance of finding it. And I make a note to myself which character has it. And by note, I do not mean mental note because those do not work for me. I mean like
Spreadsheet.
spreadsheet. All right.
I will try it. I'll put some mods in it just in case it works. I was on the guess side that it would not work, but in looking at the gear, and Seema double checked it right before the show, it doesn't say that it stops at XYZ level or something. So maybe it works. That would be a nice little bonus as well. And then there's other XP bonuses. So that's bonus from these things in your hit Y, go to legacy, buy those bonuses. Bonus from the bonus token, look at your XP boost. Bonus from the armor if you got it. And then what else?
If you have a guild with the max XP bonus.
And where can you find a guild with a max XP bonus? Seema?
Gosh, Max, I know a couple good ones.
Do ya?
Yeah. I mean, yes, come and join us, play with us. We would love it. Probably what we're going to be doing during the well, that's a good question. When you're playing through the story, it's sometimes not that social of a thing, but come and join the guild and you can ask questions in Discord or say hi in guild chat. We're going to have a spoiler channel, so if you do want to hop in there and just spoil the heck out of everything, you'll be there with people who feel that same way too.
Yeah, and ask questions and talk about what you're seeing and what Malgus is up to. That'll be the spoiler channel. Oftentimes people will hang out, especially on Tuesday night, people will hang out in Discord. And then when you get to a cutscene or something, or you need to hear the dialogue, just mute yourself and deafen yourself. And when people see that, they know that you're in a cutscene, but everybody can still sort of be around and be social, which is really kind of cool.
So Zen also reminds us to get rested XP, which just means when you log out, make sure you're in a cantina or your ship or
right. Well, Zen doesn't
Star
have
Saber.
ships, so I'm sure that's not what he's thinking.
I mean, I guess that only works if you're subbed. I did not know that.
To build rested XP only works if you're subbed. I did not know that either. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, Forrester is pointing out that last time we did this, just doing the story got you to 75. In fact, past 75. So I don't think that's gonna. I like I say, all this XP stuff is fun, but you probably won't need it.
Right.
And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to go fast, I wanted to savor story, I want to savor the story. Yeah, that's absolutely valid thing to do. But also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be aware of the story. I'm going to be tracking the story, but I know I'll miss details, and that we will have plenty of time to savor the story again later because this is our content for quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we talked about this a little bit. I will try to not hit Conquest before I get to 80. I will try to, while enjoying my first objective will be to play the story and enjoy the content, but I'm going to try to get to 80 before I hit Conquest. And then as soon as I hit 80, hit Conquest, start the implant mission, because we talked about it last week, how you have like a little mission where you have to build up 100 points of doing stuff, do a bunch of that stuff, and try to pack as much of that in as I can on my two main characters next week, just to get a little bit ahead and get the gear grind going, get my 320 gear. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's the 320 gear that you buy with Medals of Commendation that you only get if you can complete Conquest after you're already level 80. You get enough. I think you get 200 Medals of Commendation. So that's why I will try to put XP boosts on, and I will be watching Conquest objectives to try to not complete Conquest. If there is a Conquest objective like gain 5 levels and you get 400,000 Conquest points, what I might try to do then is gain 4 levels on my main character, find an alt that I don't mind not completing Conquest on them. Although I guess is it legacy bound? Yeah. The Medals of Commendation are legacy bound, so you could still complete Conquest on a total of 5 characters that hit level 80. and cap out your medals of competition or whatever. What did I just whatever I was just saying? Cap those out for the week. There will be ways to work around it. Once we see it, we'll get a better sense of it. That's what a lot of these little tips and tricks, and using XP bonuses and not hitting 80, not hitting Conquest before you hit 80, and having extra tech frags around because you want to buy those implants right away. That's where all of this starts coming together. We won't know a final plan on all of that until the morning of the 15th, because no good plan survives first contact with the enemy. And we're going to see how it all ends up actually working out. So questions like what Zen was asking around, if I have a mission that I haven't completed yet, can I wait? And will it still work on Tuesday morning? And we're not going to find out the answers to all of that stuff until we see it. To wrap us up, Seema, episode 100 of the SWTOR Escape podcast was an episode that was all about getting ready for the Knights of the Fallen Empire expansion, which I thought was kind of amusing. So I went and copied our notes from there to see if there was anything else that we wanted to call out as things that we needed to remember. Did you see anything in here that struck you? That
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny that even back then we were saying XP boost, once a cool thing for power leveling, no longer needed or desired? ?
Right. So we were asking
we
the
were
same.
we were more concise back in those days.
Yes, I guess we were explicit and concise.
But we spent some time thinking back then too, thinking about mats, like what max would would you stockpile, and which would you not worry about? And this X pack, we don't have that as an issue because crafting isn't changing.
You don't have that as an issue. But in our gearing episode last week, remember we said that the grade 11 materials and the grade 11 augments are what will be used for the new gear that you get at level 80. So it is not a bad idea right now in prep to remember to make a bunch of MK11 augment kits,
Right.
and either pull your augments out of your gear or have them ready and around to put in your new gear, or gather a bunch of mats and maybe make some new augments. Right. That's not a bad thing to do as preparation as well.
But it's the mats to do that aren't necessarily going to be more or less expensive.
Right.
If you do it now or if you do it then, they might the cost might rise as people realize they want to make them and they didn't realize it before. But it's definitely not night and day kind of thing.
That's also probably the reason the OEM and RPM components that we suggested you might want to use your 10K tech frags to get that quest from the little icon that's down next to Kai's icon and turn that in. Those are really expensive right now, and we expect that's because those are the components that are used to make the very, very high-end augments that no reasonable person would actually use.
I mean, I know we said that you can only buy 3 things with tech fragments, but I'm assuming we can still do that mission.
Good point. That's a 4th thing. You're absolutely right. I guess technically you're buying that completion of that mission with 10K tech frags.
I mean, we probably won't be doing that for a while, but...
Which also means that OEM and RPM components may rise in price even more because everybody's going to be using their tech frags to buy the implants.
So if you were thinking you had to unload yours before the X-Pack, that may not be true.
And right now they're going for around 80 million credits or 70 million credits each. So that's 10K tech frags getting you 70 million credits. If you are low on credits going into the expansion, that's not a bad way to stock up some credits. If you are flush with cash, if you're feeling saucy, well then keep your tech frags for the for the implants. A bunch of our.
I mean, here's the thing: you might want to level your gathering skills if they aren't up to max level, just because.
Yeah.
You might want to pick some stuff up off the ground in the new zone.
Piece of candy.
Piece of candy.
Piece of candy. Another piece of candy. You'll never get to level 80 then. You just be picking up all the pieces of candy. It'll still be. I wonder.
I
if-
remember getting stuck in that first zone in Yavin 4 because I kept
Right.
there's so many nodes.
It was so nice.
I couldn't
Yeah,
move
Yavin
forward.
was always so good for a long time. It's still good if I think
Yeah,
that's
it's still very
that's
good.
grade 9 or grade 10. It's still quite good. I imagine I don't know. We'll have to see what kind of nodes we see on the new Manon with the new daily area. Hopefully we will have gathering nodes, and I expect if we do, they're all going to be MK11 or grade 11.
That would be funny if
gathering
they
nodes.
weren't.
If they were like grade 12 or they were like they were like grade 9 or something.
Yeah, grade 6.
Grade 6, exactly. I guess that would be a problem, but we know where to go to get grade 11. You go to Onderon and Mek Shah. Those are good places.
Mhm.
We said these kinds of things, which we've sort of been talking about on the side, and get a little bit more interesting in 7.0, which is what's going to be your main character and which character are you going to level up first. And because it's an expansion and things are changing, is this an opportunity? And often it is for you to ask the question of yourself, what do I want my main character for this expansion to be? It doesn't have to be your get best geared out character right now, because the gear you have right now doesn't matter anymore. So you have a clean slate and can pick another character as your main. And remember, with combat styles and a second style, not only do you get to think about what is your main character going to be, but what are its two styles going to be, and that can be your new main for 7.0. Now I'm going to pick my two mains, but yeah.
I mean, one thing I thought about too is like, is it time for me to change my outfit? Like I've had my Finnick Shand look for a while now.
The important questions, you're absolutely right, Seema, because it is better to look good than to feel good.
And when I do get around to like combat styles, which I'm going to do after I level, I might want to have, an outfit for my other combat. I mean, so that'll be a visual reminder to me which combat style I'm in.
Oh, that's kind of a good idea. To have an outfit switch to remind you. I like my outfit though. I like my privacy. I like my outfit. I don't know though. That's a good point. We'll see if I get around to thinking up looking for some new armor. It wasn't until I got this armor set, this Mandalorian Seeker or whatever it is. What is it? I guess let's look it up. This is the Mandalorian Seeker set. It wasn't until I got this Mandalorian Seeker set that I actually started wearing the helmets of any gear set. This was the first helmet that I just really liked the texture and the paint job that went with it so well that I kept the helmet on and did the whole "this is the way" look.
I don't know. Someone in the chat room, Forcer, said RIP the guns for a month. I don't know. He might just carry them.
I might just stick with the 306. Forget it, stupid gun. In fact, that probably won't hurt you. Remember how the gear works. Gear drops don't go off your overall gear score on your character, but they do go off the things that are in the slots. So it could hurt me to not be equipping.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't ever get any upgrades on the weapons.
Because you just keep getting a weapon over and over again.
Yeah, I'll be getting.
Well, you might not
be
get
like 316s.
But you might not get an upgrade on anything else either.
Because it would be the lowest slot. I think some of the things. I think some of the. I don't know for sure. It seemed to be that. Like only armor drops off of certain bosses, and then it would look at the armor slots that were available and find a slot that matched up.
Oh well, we'll find out.
We sure will find out. But I probably will equip the tiny little stupid guns. Where's Seema? Are you still in here?
No. Oh no, I don't think so. I was listening so raptly to you that I got locked out.
Well, that'll be a big reward when 7.1 comes out and we get weapons in the outfit designer, and I can have some real guns again. That'll really make that a special moment for me then. I have that to look forward to. which is nice. All
We
right.
got that going for us.
Otherwise, I guess the last thing is if you want to speculate on any other materials, crafting materials or otherwise, or armor sets or anything else, MK11 augment kits, or augments themselves, you could do a little GTN speculation. That's something that a lot of people will do going into an expansion as well. Either short sell or buy now, sell low, buy low, sell high. Diamond hands, hold those NFTs, GameStop to the moon, whatever the case may be. Play that market. That's the way that works. All right. Anything else before we wrap it up then, Seema?
Let's see, outfit. Just I wanted to say, clean up stuff in real life too.
Yeah.
Like, get ready, so that I don't know about you guys, but if I have some project that I need to get done by a certain day, it hangs over my head and it affects how much fun I have playing. So, kind of spend some time, your free time in the next couple weeks, get that stuff out of the way. Clear the decks, man.
Get some good workouts in on the
Yep.
weekend before. Get some good exercise because you're going to be glued to your computer there for a couple days, and that's not healthy. So get that in. Stock up on some energy. As we said, and then the points that we made last week, like quitting your job, locking your kids in the closet, that kind of stuff. Just remember those two. You can
Right.
find those tips at the end of last week's show. Stock up on those 3090 graphics.
Teach your
cards.
dog to use the toilet.
Yep. All right, and have fun. So we'll all be looking forward for different ways to have fun. Come say hi, hang out with your friends, and have fun. One friend that will not be hanging out with us is EPC 413, which is about to get kicked out on airlock to broadcast this podcast in perpetuity, unless it finds its way back, like EPC 0 did. Oh, I had EPC 0 up on the screen earlier. There's EPC 0.
It could happen.
There we go. They can find their way back after they've completed their mission. Because the story is, as soon as they hit all of the hyperspace relays and bounce the broadcast off of all of those, then they're done. They've completed their mission. They can come back. Until that time, if you want to find out when this podcast is going live, you can follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray. And if you know any cool people that should be playing with us, tell them to come check us out on the podcast. Tell them to come find our guild at aie-guild.org. Our Discord link is in the upper right, and you can find out what we're doing on both the Republic and the Imperial sides in our guild Discord. You can also see what we're doing in all of the other games that AIE plays. Jump in there and ask for an AI guild invite on Starforge, either side, and we will get you connected. Check out newoverlords.com and keep an eye on it. I think it might be changing and expanding and getting new branding and maybe some stuff in the next few weeks. So if you are not subscribed to New Overlords on YouTube, definitely subscribe and keep an eye on newoverlords.com. There may be some new stuff, maybe towards the end of February. We'll see.
Oh, Max with the teasers.
We'll see. I'll tease some stuff out there. There might be some things coming. We'll see where that's gonna go. I think the wind. You feel that? You feel that, Seema? That's the winds of change. The winds of change. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.